Hi again! Welcome back to the Revit tutorial for beginners. After the first 1 hour of learning, it looks like that you have motivation to go forward in this program, which is an excellent thing. In this part 4, we are going to focus on the Modify tab and more specifically, the commands in the Modify panel. And remember that you can always check the list of contents in the description of the video if you want to go directly to a specific part. So it's time to start. First of all, I will make an introduction about the modifying tools. They are very important in Revit. If you are familiar with AutoCAD, you can guess that some of these tools are the same. However, sometimes they look the same but work a bit different here in Revit. Command copy. I can create a duplication of one or more elements to place in different positions. I'm going to copy the ceiling light to another intersection of the grid. Click on the icon. I can also use the shortcut CO. Select the object. Press Enter and pick up the Move Start Point. I click exactly on the center and then click again on this new position. Now I'm going to repeat the process, and you can see that sometimes the snap points change, depending on the place that you want to click. If I click right now, the new light will be exactly in this intersection. But if I want to place it in line of my selected element, you can see that it's not snapping to this intersection where I have the pointer, only to a nearest point of the horizontal line. Actually, is the only one highlighted. But there is a way here to change the snap points by pressing the button tab. Sometimes I need to press more than once to find the snap point that I want. It's this one. I'm sure it snaps to the intersection because you can notice the dashed lines and the vertical line highlighted. So click to put it there. Now let's use the command move. It's like copy but without keeping the original objects. I click on the icon, select these two lights, press Enter, choose this base point, and then move them to this intersection. The array command, it multiplies one or several objects the number of times that I want. Click on the icon, then I'm going to select these three lights, press Enter, click in the center of one of the lights, and then move up and look at the options bar. Here we can choose if we want a polar or a linear array. I want linear. And let's say I want to set the number of items as 4. Also in this section that says Move to, if I choose second, the point where I click will be the second row. So I can click in this point to place the array and then press Escape to exit. Rotate. Elements can be easily rotated here in Revit. I'm going to the ground floor plan, and this time let's insert a different component, a furniture object. I'm going to Load Family, search for the Furniture folder, and then insert one of the tables that I've got here. Let's put it in this room. Now, to use the command Rotate, I click on the icon, select the object to rotate, press Enter, then this axis indicates the start rotation point. I click and then I'm going to rotate it in the angle that it's indicating here, for a 45-degree angle. It snaps easily when I get close to that angle. If I click now, this will be 45 degrees precise. Align. This tool, I use it quite a lot in Revit. Let's learn how it works. First example. Align the wall X with the wall Y. I click on the command. First, I need to select the line or point of alignment. It's the center line of this wall. Select the wall X, and you can see that it will move directly towards the dashed line. Now both walls are aligned. Second example. Align this furniture element towards the wall. It's a nice sofa. Oh, and it's interesting to know that I can move also elements by clicking and drag them and place where I want. If I try to put the sofa against the wall, I can't do it with 100% of precision. Although with the Align tool, do the same process as before, and this selection line is not the one I want, because the sofa would go inside the wall to match the center line. On the options bar, you can see this Prefer, and I can change the part to generate the line of alignment. This time I want it to detect the wall face. Let's try. But it still doesn't work. Don't worry, usually after changing that option the first time, it doesn't work right away. We need to press Escape and reactivate the command again, and now it works. So click on it. Also in the sofa I can choose which line I want to align. It's interesting. I choose this one. Now before going to a different command, I want to show you a tip. Let's move the wall where it was before, but this time I use the wall faces as the reference lines. Now, do you notice this lock here? By clicking on it, I create an alignment constraint. What does this mean? From now on, if I move one of the walls, the second one will follow the first in order to keep the constraint. Offset. This is how offset works in Revit. It's simple. First, I need to click on the command, of course, and then look at the options bar. It shows up the offset distance, where I can set the length that I desire. I select the object to offset, and notice this. If I select the left wall face, it offsets to the left, and if I click on the other side, it offsets to the right. Basically, if I click now, I create a copy at 0.5 meters from the wall center line. And keep in mind that this distance is between the same reference of each object, not the distance between the closest faces, which is less than 0.5. Now let's see more offset options. It's not required to copy the object, I can just move it. If I untick this box, copy, and apply the offset to the left. Okay, this was numerical offset. Graphical offset, on the other hand, is used if I want to create a parallel wall in a specific point. This time, the steps are the following. Select the object to offset. Click on the offset start point. And click again to move it to the new position. If I want to copy the same wall next to the window, I can use the endpoints above. Now let's see some specific constraints. I can't offset two walls at the same time. I need to do them separately. That thing back in AutoCAD when you offset a polyline, it doesn't work here in Revit. Another thing, not all elements are eligible to offset. From the ones that I have in this view, only the walls are possible here. Not furniture, neither doors or windows. Mirror. With the command mirror, we can draw a symmetrical element. Actually, we can select more than one, from a certain axis. Let's apply this command to the sofa below, but first I'm going to move this wall a bit down. And remember that here there was a constraint against another horizontal wall, the one at the right. But if I click on the lock, that constraint is no longer here, and I can move the wall freely. We are just going to use this wall as our mirror axis. So, there are two mirror commands, pick axis and draw axis. First, I will show you the pick axis. Select the sofa, press enter. Then I need to pick the axis, and you can see that those axes are automatically generated on the elements we have here. It can be on a wall center line, or in an endpoint, or a midpoint of a door or window. I'm going to choose this wall axis, and the sofa is copied symmetrically to the other side. And note that the distance between the element and the axis is constant. The command mirror draw axis only differs in the fact that we have to draw the axis. For example, select the furniture element again, and if I go to this wall midpoint, I can draw a vertical axis here, and the object is copied against the opposite wall. Notice that the new sofa was reversed, and now they are both facing against each other. They are symmetrical. Also, we can move both sofas a bit down, as this one on the right is at the entrance. It's not good. Another tip, when we are using the command mirror, and after selecting the object and pressing enter, on the options bar, we can decide if we want to copy the element or not. If I uncheck this box, the original sofa will just disappear. We can also mirror how many elements that we want at the same time. For example, I can select these two doors, press Ctrl to click on the second, press enter, then I draw the axis here, and two new doors are now at the external wall. Split elements. Now I want to show you how we can split a wall. First, let's put this sofa next to the wall again. It's always a good opportunity to practice these commands. First, let's rotate it 180 degrees. The element was already selected. Now I have to pick the start position of rotation and turn it 180 degrees. Oh, but it looks like I moved a bit more than what I should. I can repeat rotate again, but it's not really necessary. As with the command align, I pick the wall face, which is my destination, then select this axis, and you can see the sofa aligning at the wall perfectly. Then press escape twice to exit the command. Now let's learn to split an element. I click on the command, which is this one, and in the description it says cuts an element such as a wall or line at a selected point, or removes a segment between 2 points. I can go to a wall and choose a place where to split the wall vertically, from the bottom to the top. Suppose that I want that split at 1 meter from the external wall. Notice that here I cannot type the distance. However, I can modify it later if I'm not happy with the result. Then I can exit a command or make a second split. This time let's place it at 1.5 meters from the first. Okay, this wall is now divided in 3 parts. With this operation, I can click on one of them and erase it. Now let's repeat this process because I want to show you the options bar. It's very important that you get used to look at it. I know it's not natural to beginners to notice the options bar all the time that we activate a command, but believe that it will save you a lot of time struggling, especially because most of the options there are easily understandable. Like this one, delete inner segment. If I check this box, this segment between the next 2 points disappears. Now let's see how this looks like in a 3D view, and how to cut the wall also horizontally. Ah, look how nice these sofas appear here. Okay, regarding the wall, I can select each section like on the floor plan. And even they are splitted, they are still continuous like a single element. You don't notice any difference here. Let's click on split again, go to the wall, and then find one of the splits. Now I'm going to add a horizontal split at the distance of 2.1 meters. I click now, and the area that appears here is what I actually splitted. But let's have a detailed look in a different example. Before clicking, we should notice which section is highlighted. Now is the section at the left, but if I want to split the middle section, I have to move slightly to the right. After splitting, I can select this section down here and press delete to create a passage between these two different rooms. Sometimes we have this kind of situations on our buildings. If I select the section above and go to the Properties panel, I can see here the base offset, which is set as 2.1. If I change it to 2 meters, and don't forget to click on Apply, you can notice the wall going down 10 centimeters. Split with a gap. This command acts in a very similar way. The only difference is that it creates a gap each time I split the wall. So look at the appearance of this section at a 3D view. Nice, but what is actually the length of that gap? On the options bar, when split with gap is active, there is a blank to fill the gap distance. It's curious that by default I have this strange value, which is actually 1 inch, 2.54 centimeters. Let's change it to 0.1 meter. Now try again. I'm going to trim the wall here. And look, the distance towards the wall is 0.8. If I split, you can see now the distance is 0.75. What does it mean? That the split point was actually in the middle of the gap. But which elements can be splitted? In this view, only the walls. I cannot split furniture, doors or windows. So it's the same as with the command offset that I explained before. Trim Extend Elements. This tool is a mix between trim and extend commands in AutoCAD. We use them in walls mostly. If I extend this little wall down here to connect the one above, I click first on the reference here and then on the wall that I want to extend. Let's try the same in another wall. Select this reference line, then extend the wall on the left, and suddenly I got a message. It says walls overlap each other. But where? I cannot see any wall. Okay, I will help. Remember that not all elements on a specific floor are visible in a floor plan. This happens when they are above the floor level, like ceilings or that wall when we switch to the 3D view. And this is actually the one that overlaps. Back to the command. Now let's extend these 3 walls up to the external wall on that side. I click on this face as my reference and select one wall to extend. Then to extend the next, I need to select the reference again and just after the wall. So it's fine if I just have 3 walls, but if I would have 50, it would take a long time. For that reason, we have the trim extend command for multiple elements, which is the one located next at the right. With this, we select the reference as before, and then click on the walls one by one to extend towards the reference. Now, I want to show you how I can trim walls using the same command. Let's have the example here. There are 3 vertical walls and 1 horizontal. I want to trim these sections. For that, I'm going to use this reference line. Then I need to select a section of the wall which I want to keep, and it's indicated by this dashed line. When I click, the rest is erased. Then for the next, select again the reference and click on the section to keep. But for multiple walls, it's exactly the same way as extending walls. And this time I want to keep the segments above. Also, sometimes when I want to trim, I get messages that the elements in orange can't keep joined. It's just a warning message, and if that's what you actually want, you can click on Unjoin Elements. There is also a command to extend or trim to a corner. This is very intuitive. I click on the command, then I just select two walls and they will extend towards their intersecting point. If I try to do it here, also look that you have a preview before clicking, but in this case it's not possible to erase that part, as there are doors and windows on that external wall. I can also click on two walls that intersect, and I create a corner there. But why was the left part erased instead of the right one? Because it keeps the side that I select. Okay, that was everything for today. Thank you very much for watching, and don't forget to continue learning and practicing. That's always important. And if you haven't already subscribed to CAD in Black, I think it's never late. Is it? See you next time.